All right, everybody, how's it going? So today, with my knife content, I can show off the knives like this XM18 that I did the anodizing myself, and this Ramlock stitch, but most importantly is lanyards. I'm a fan of lanyards. Some people are not, but and forgive me on this setup. I literally have my phone on the ice bucket in my hotel room here. I'm in New Hampshire this week for work, so now pretty much I'm going to show you what I do when it comes to tying lanyards. So obviously with the stitch, we're just using one color. So that's pretty easy. Lanyard, loop it, and then start tying. And this is some 550 paracord, which you can find on, your local dealer's websites. You can find it on Amazon, get a roll of however long you want for a pretty good price. But I'm gonna kind of add the two color situation for you to show you how to do that step before tying, because obviously one color is pretty straightforward. It's loop it, start tying. I'm going to show you what works for me when merging two colors together. Unfortunately, I don't have a bead with me, so obviously it's just start tying. So this is the snake knot from my understanding, and then we have the diamond knot. So it's just do that one, add the bead, and then tie it at the end. And the reason why I tie this at the end, it's not really going to come out and loosen up on you, and that bead ain't going anywhere. Say if you can totally do a lanyard with snake knots bead and then end it in snake knots, but it's very easy for the snake knot to come undone. If I were to shimmy this, you can see that it's already coming loose. But now this is how I do it. This is what works for me and what I think looks best. I've seen guys and gals, put the lanyard on, immediately throw the bead up top, start tying some knots. They might throw another bead on it, whatever you desire or what you're trying to go for. By all means, go for it. So I'm going to do this all in one shot. I don't have real cool editing skills. In this case here, we're going to just, as an example, we're going to put it on this Strider Performance Series SMF. I know, flex, because it does have a spot for the lanyards. And what you probably, and I'm going to do the same thing on this, and I'll tell you why I do it. Now, as you can see on the hinderer, it's got a lanyard hole to fish it through, but I only fish it on the lock side. Reason being that I do that, I feel that if I fished it through both sides, I feel that the lanyard gets in the way. That's just me. So if I only do it on the lock side, especially think of it in the pocket, if the knife's up to, about here, I could just let that hang off rather than having this giant loop come around and then it sticks up like this. Meanwhile, you can just kind of lay that down within the pants. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this one here, and just do it only on the lock side, and we'll come back to that. So grab your lanyard. I'm just using gray and red. Personally, I probably wouldn't choose this if I were putting it on this Strider, being that it's just straight up stonewash. I'd just go with one color. Unless it had different color hardware, then I try to do some color combo of whatever would fit best. So 550 paracord. Might want to move these out of the way so it doesn't focus specifically on that. Now, what you are going to need, some type of lighter. And normally I have a particular pen. I don't have it with me, but I'm just going to use this Phillips screwdriver, and I'll show you why. Now, what you could do it two ways, and both have worked. One way might be easier compared to the other, but again, it's up to you what works best. And this is just, you know, trial and error of kind of messing around with the paracord. Now, what I'm going to do, we're going to cut off these frayed ends. I'm just going to do that off camera here. So, you know, obviously the before, yucky. Just roll that there. And now we have something that's a lot better. The frayed parts are not really gonna matter in a bit. And then so obviously with fire science, the blue is a little bit lower compared to the white or the orange. You don't want to start a fire, obviously, so just gently go through. You'll see it start to melt. We don't need a complete flame towards the end of it. You know, you just want to get it somewhat melted, and then we're going to come back to that. And of course, me touching the lanyard, now do keep in mind it is hot. I guess I'm just so used to it. And let me just cut this red one off. Now, what we could do here, and I'm going to do this, we'll call this option one of getting everything put together. So I'm just melting it real quick and then kind of pushing it up together. And now the cord on the inside should be kind of melted and then merging with the outer layer of the paracord. Now, what we can do, and this is kind of a quick process. Now, I can get this nice and hot and get that ready, right? Get ready to do it on this one, but I'm gonna kind of leave it a little bit longer, and I kind of screwed up on that one. Maybe it's just because I'm on camera. And once I get it melted, and you can see that it's merged, but if I were to pull on this, I'm sure it's going to come apart. So what you may need to do, as you can see, it's somewhat melted within both sides, right? So what you might have to do is, you know, slowly work it, get it hot, roll it between the fingers, and be careful not to burn yourself, obviously. I hold no responsibility to injuries, because that's what people say in videos, you know, don't try this at home and whatnot. But you get it a little hot, you work it, and then, see, now I tugged on it because I said I didn't do a real good job. So we're going to try this a different way. So what I will do, I will cut one end, and I'm going to let some of the white stick out a little bit, and I'll tell you why. We're going to use that more as a glue type situation, right? So I'm going to get this hot, the red side. You don't need that on fire. So being that I want this to kind of be all goopy, right? That's going to be our glue. And I screwed that up completely. We're going to keep rolling, because this is how it is in real life, right? So I may leave that on fire for a little bit. But again, you got to do this quick too, because it then hardens. And again, this is not the cleanest job, so you're going to do a lot better. Okay, now you can see I got a nice big goop, and that's hot. As you can see, the plastic or whatever material it's made out of did melt on my hand. And obviously we could do this a lot cleaner, but you kind of get the idea. I'm not going to pull on it, but you know, at this point you would do this, you take your time slowly and then just kind of roll it within the fingers. That's option one. As you can see, it's not the cleanest. I can get it a lot cleaner, but for the sake of the video, we're going to do option two. Get that out of the way, right? So I'm going to just get this side remelted, but slowly, so we're not making it look like junk, right? And this is going to be the inner portion, we'll call it, right? All right, now we're going to come back to here. And what we're going to do, now you can just kind of slowly pull it between your fingers, and you can see that the white cordage on the inside kind of got sucked in, right? This is where the pen, or in this case, the Phillips screwdriver, is going to come into play, and I'm going to insert it, okay? And what I am doing now with the lighter, kind of going around slowly and getting that outer portion of the power cord melted. And as you can see now, it's not frayed, right? And the inner portion of the power cord is right about here. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Now, when I have this side melted, it's going to go right in, okay? So I'm going to heat this side, because once this is heated and it catches and touches the gray power cords, the white part, it's going to melt and kind of stick together. And I think I completely screwed this up too. Yep, I sure did. Let's try this again. So I'm going to insert that, just clean it up a little bit because I think I caught some junk on it, right? And I'm going to cut that off and start from scratch. And the reason why I'm kind of doing this is obviously I want it skinny enough to go in here. Obviously the pen that I have is tapered obviously at the end, and it makes this part a little bit wider, and it makes it a lot easier to put that second piece of paracord that goes on the inside. It's so much easier. It gives you a lot more room, okay, compared to something as just a little bit wider than the actual paracord, right? So try this one more time. I'm going to use the blue part of the flame because it's lower in temperature, because science. Fish it in, and nope, I still screwed that up. But for the sake of the video, it is in there, and it actually didn't touch the inner portion of the gray's inner cord. So in this case, it is in there. It's a lot cleaner, as we can see, and I'm just going to work it, roll it in between the fingers, and you kind of check visually to see if, in this case, the gray's paracord is melted on and it's got a good grasp of the red paracord. Obviously, it just wouldn't have this inner part because, like I mentioned, it didn't catch the inner core. All right, and for the sake of it, we're going to use that. So when it's folded, like, yes, you will have this like harder portion here. Now, being that I didn't catch the inner cord of the gray side, you know, if you were to fold it over, you're gonna have that melted part kind of visible, you know, and I'll stick it out. Oop, some weird random hair. So you can see that it's like the melted portion of here. I got it just kind of tucked in so nobody sees that, right? So in this case here, we're melted. Now it does take a little bit of time. I'm probably flubbing this completely just because I'm on camera. And I'm going to now stretch or pull towards the other end here. We're gonna trim and just melt that and just, now the reason why I'm kind of making sure I can taper it and then roll it towards the end, if we were working with a bead, sometimes those holes within the bead could be a lot, the diameter could be a lot, you know, would be a lot smaller. It's, you know, so sometimes you may have to work it in there. So as you can see, I kind of tapered it. I think I did a better tapering job with this because it melted and then it came to a point, right? So we are done with the lighter. We are done with the screwdriver or pen. Now we get towards the knife. Now, oh, you may need tweezers of some sort if you're doing it the way that I am. Now, being that we are using two colors and I'm using red and gray, the gray part I wouldn't want sticking out. It would be more of the red. I would want the red part coming out this way. I guess just for the color pop, right? Now, in this case here, now you think that I could just go in here and then fish it out. You can kind of do that. This is where the tweezers come into play. You know, I'll get it to a point here. And if I can get these tweezers to work, I just got these. I don't think I'm totally sold on them. These are this Civivi tack and tweeze Terzuola design. They're just a foldable, like, fine pin, yeah, fine tip, but they don't open up wide enough, in my opinion. Unlike some other needle nose tweezers, and I think I touched that. I just don't want the camera to fall. And I'm just kind of opening these up just to kind of get a grasp on it. Okay. But I said I wanted the red side, right? I don't care at this point. So, like I said, in this case, I'm only doing the lock side. I'm not going through both sides. Again, to each his own, whatever works for you. You can do it however you please, right? So, make sure my chair doesn't knock into the table. So, we're going to start off with the first part, the snake knot. One of the most easiest knots to do, okay? And if I have this bucket in the way, which I don't totally dig, I think that should be fine. Now we have our two parts, right? Now, in the left, now you can do it totally opposite if for lefties, but being that I'm a righty, this is what works for me. So on the left cord, right, you're going to make a loop. You're going to turn your fingers towards you so that the loose part of your lanyard is towards the back, behind this part of the cord, okay? Now, our right side, in this case the red, we fish it through, okay? It is fished through. Now, we're going to come back around towards the front, and we're gonna go through the hole here. And that, my friends, is snake knot number 1. I know it's sloppy. This would be, you know, at this point, being that it is an easier knot to mess around, and you can cinch it up and make it a lot more neater. You get it all nice and tight, mess around with it, and boom, we have our first knot. So obviously the colors are still on the same side, and you're still going to just repeat that process. Flip the left side so that it wraps behind itself. Fish your right side in, come from behind and back through that loop. And as you can see here, it's just making a nice design, right? We'll move that over there for now. And sometimes you just may have to work it. Okay. So I know I got 3 knots here. Normally I do about 5 or 6, depending on how I'm feeling. In this case, I'm just going to do 3, and now we're going to go into the diamond knot. So if I had a bead here, now I'd be fishing the bead in, get up to about here, and like say this is where the bead's sitting, right? Now if you don't have a bead, you can totally do it. You can totally do a diamond knot at the end. Again, whatever you want to do. To each his own, your imagination, etc. So the diamond knot, there is a few steps. And it does require a little bit more tightening up and cinching, that you may need to have it physically in hand, and maybe some type of like I don't know what you want to call it, but I have a particular tool that it's thinner at towards the tip, and it's a blunt tip, so it's not messing around with the paracord. So so back to where we are. We have our left and right side, left being gray, right being red. So with the right side, we're going to twist the cord away from you, so like that, and then we got to essentially, I don't want to say you're going to twist it again, which you kind of could, but you're making, we'll call this a half turn, and then we're doing a full turn now. So with the full turn, maybe I can zoom up a little bit more. I shouldn't have to. If I do the knot, push it back here. So half turn, full turn. So we're gonna look like this. And I'm turning it away from me. And I'm leaving the left side, like that loop is gonna be over the left side like that. So it should be behind that full turn loop. Okay, just like this. And there's a reason why I'm leaving it like that. So now with our cord, we're under this knot. Okay. I gotta think about this now, hold on. I'm gonna come from behind, but I'm kind of holding it there. And now this is kind of going over where that twist is. But I'm not coming down with it. I'm actually going to fish it under itself and then back over. Okay? And now I can pull it. And normally I'd be like tightening it up over here, and you can see that my finger is kind of still in its place. So again, I'll pull that out because that's what she said. I'm coming under, and I'm going, making sure that I'm going over the right side full turned loop. I'm fishing under and then over that cord. Okay, and you kind of see it's making this like diamond or square as I'm holding it in place. This center diamond is or square is important. So now that I kind of went under and then over, now my left end is going to come underneath and right through that hole. Okay, and if I just tighten it, now you can see where it just loops over again. Now the right side, we're going to go in between our left and right. Okay, and I'm going to go right in that same diamond. Now the fun part, getting it all cinched up, because the knot portion is technically done, the tying. Now it's just making sure that everything is all tightened up. And it may look like a complete mess, right? You just gotta follow the cords and just get everything tightened up. Okay. Now, look at that. I mean, just a few steps there, and you know, we can go back and keep tugging away. I know this video sounds really, really bad with some of the adjectives that I'm using. Yeah, just keep cinching away. I'm probably covering a whole bunch of this, but again, it's just a matter of following the cord where it's at. And like I said, the best part about this is that this knot's not going to come undone, okay? Because if I pull on it, we're pretty much good to go. Okay, now whatever you want to do. In this case, I know I have a lot extra cord, which sometimes can happen. We'll cut that off, and then we just melt our ends so that they, you know, those ends don't come apart. And I just kind of do the same thing, melt it a little bit, pull it up, try to make sure it's nice and clean. That's good enough for me for now, for the sake of the video. That's pretty much it. So we have a lanyard loop done on the Strider. And again, this is just an example. Again, you know, whatever you want to do with making a few extra knots, adding a bead. You could probably do a diamond knot up top here, then snake knots in the middle, and then end it with a diamond knot. You can just probably just do all diamond knots if you wanted to. You know, again, this is the beauty of, you know, tying up paracord, just like art. It's pretty much what it is at the end of the day. So now that this video is almost a half hour, now for me to upload it, probably going to take a while on this stupid internet at the hotel. But I hope this helps. Any questions you have, just throw a message at the bottom. And I'm Lou. Hope this helps you out. Take care.